watching Flashpoint with Brendan McLaughlin.
Okay, we're back now with Bubba the Love Sponge, who returns to terrestrial radio, 102.5 The Bone FM here in Tampa and also in Jacksonville. Let's talk some current events. I know you're good friends with Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan.
Best man at my wedding.
He was best man at your wedding.
My son's godfather.
You know, they've been involved in this tragic situation, of course. Their son, Nick, getting involved in that accident that critically injured another young man. What's your take on the way that story's sort of been told and the way the family is handling it?
It's a very tough time for Terry and the family, and you know, obviously him and Linda are going through a little bit of an issue right now too. And
they're getting divorced, apparently.
Yeah, and it's a tough time. I mean, you know, rightfully so. The public has voiced their opinion. There's a lot of pressure on Bernie McCabe, and I guess there were some charges filed. So I think that Nick's going to have his day in court, obviously, and I think there's a lot of things that I'm privy to that I think that Kevin Hazel, who represents him, is going to be able to bring to the forefront, based on speed and all kinds of things. But I mean, on the surface, it's bad. On the surface, it's bad. Although I know Nick, I know that your son knows Nick. He's a good kid. So I'm going to have to almost take a wait and see approach, because I'm too close to the situation and I love the family. So anything I say wouldn't be fair to the judicial system at the end of the day.
Politics. You ran for sheriff at one point,
and I did well.
And you did not bad. Didn't win.
Got 30% of the vote, though.
It's like horseshoes, though.
Yeah,
you know,
it's all right.
Second place doesn't count for much. But is that something you might consider again?
No, you know, it was for the 2-year hiatus that I had outside of Clear Channel. I got a lot of respect for Coach Jim Coates is the sheriff over there. Right. David G's the sheriff over here. I got a lot of respect for those guys. It was kind of fun to run through the political process with the debates and, you know, see it is kind of the good old boy network and the old money. And, you know, boy, I was upset in the apple cart, not liked by a lot of people. But no, I don't see myself doing that. I'm a radio shock jock, you know.
Well, you see somebody like Joe Redner, who's also kind of a controversial figure in town. He's run countless times.
Right. Came close, too, last time.
But he's come close, but again, just can't seem to.
Yeah, Joe did it all based on money. And, you know, Joe's kind of in the Bubba the Love Sponge category. A lot of people, very polarized, polarized. And I like Joe. I think Joe's got some good beliefs. Very smart man, obviously, but I don't think politics is for Joe.
So what about the presidential election? Oprah Winfrey, of course, has come out for Barack Obama. Is that something you're going to talk about on your show?
Oh, yeah.
Who do you like? I mean,
I like Ron Paul.
Politics?
I like Ron Paul. I wish he was a little more polished. I wish he could put Ron Paul's beliefs into Mitt Romney's body, because I think we'd have a candidate there. Because Mitt Romney scares me based on his religious beliefs and being a Mormon and all that kind of things. But he's polished and he's got his act together. And he's a hell of a businessman.
And anchor hair, not to mention.
Oh God, he's right. He could be on TV with that hair. But I love Ron Paul's beliefs. I just don't think that he's polished. He's kind of got Ross Perot syndrome. He's not, you know, Ross Perot's kind of hayseed and. So I'm voting for Ron Paul myself.
All right. Well, he's
that or John Edwards.
Polling at about 3%.
Yeah, I know. Thanks.
Okay. Hey, last time we talked, you know, we talked about Clear Channel. You didn't really blame Channel for what happened, and you really didn't blame yourself. You blamed the federal government for sort of creating the situation where the FCC was imposing what I think you would consider unfair and arbitrary restrictions on broadcasters. What's your feeling now?
I think that I feel sorry for broadcasters in general, just because you don't really know. I mean, they say sometimes you can't say double entendres, but you can't say innuendos, and you can't say this. You can't. And if you beep a word and you didn't even mean I'm a nervous wreck over it, and here I am jumping back into that environment. Right. But I'm not mad at Clear Channel. They hung me out to dry, and now I'm going to come back into play on them on the backside. I promise you.
I think you were most angry that they didn't give you a chance to say goodbye to your audience. Or sort of wrap
and now I have an opportunity to say goodbye for a long, long time. I signed a 3-year deal, and you know, 98 Rock will change formats. I promise you that. I'm a very vindictive person.
Now, let's talk about satellite radio, Sirius and XM. The conventional wisdom is that the industry is not big enough for those two companies, that eventually they're going to merge. What does that say about the future of satellite radio in general? Do you think it's a growth industry, or do you think what we see is what we got?
I think it's a great growth industry. It's actually grown faster than cable TV did in the 80s, early 80s. It's just that, you know, the electronic media and the electronic marketplace on how people get iPods and internet and MP3 radio has grown so huge. huge, that satellite radio needs to partner up with each other and become one entity. And the FCC needs to realize that 15 years ago when they granted these licenses and they cannot be merged, that we didn't have iPods, we didn't have these various things. So the merger should be allowed to go through. It's a very, very, very great industry, and it's growing by leaps and bounds. Fortunately, they've spent too much money on programming, you know, given Oprah $55 million, Martha Stewart $39 million.
How about Glenn Beck's recent contract? I think it was $50 million?
$50 million for regular radio.
Yeah,
there's a regular radio if you can get your act together. That's why I'm jumping back in.
That's right. Were you surprised that Cox was able to come up with the
yeah, I really
that
was.
kind of paycheck?
And there's more. I mean, they actually Cox actually offered me even more money to not come back to Sirius and just stay with them, another couple million. And I have such a great following, and I have such a loyalty to Howard that I wanted to come back for at least a year to be able just to
so you basically do his afternoon drive
right.
show on his channel. How much contact do you have with Howard Stern?
A lot.
You see him a lot?
A lot. I was up to his house in the Hamptons for the summer a lot, and I just saw him on Sunday. I was at his place on Sunday. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you something. You talk about a great guy that's highly misunderstood. It's Howard Stern. He is he saved my career. As dirty as you think he is, as grotesque, he's my savior.
Well, you have a lot in common, I would think.
We do.
Don Imus, you're not so fond of Don Imus.
No, Don, you know, I feel bad for the guys he replaced. The guys he replaced had a 3 share. Don's highest rating ever was a 1.5. Why you would touch that guy with a 20-foot pole, I have no idea. That's really a boneheaded move in our industry.
But as a broadcaster, what do you think of his show?
Horrible.
You don't like his show?
Horrible.
Did what happened to him, the fact that he wasn't kicked off by the FCC, he wasn't fined, it was public opinion against something he said that turned into corporate fear, basically. The corporation that employed him decided that they couldn't put up with that kind of controversy. What does that do to other broadcasters? Does that have a chilling effect?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you remember, PETA did the same thing to me. I didn't break the law. I was cleared. You know, I didn't.
This was the pig that was killed live on your air.
PETA organized against me, burned up Mark Ober's fax machine. He arrested me, put me in jail. I was cleared in 52 minutes. But when these the Al Sharptons, the PETAs, when they get some steam going, broadcasters will go down. You know?
Okay. Well, it'll be interesting to watch. Bubba's back. You can either run for your lives or cover your ears or listen in.
Or both.
All right, very good to have you on Flashpoint.
Don't forget our bet.
All right, you bet. Well, it's on videotape. No denying it. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Okay, when we come back, a discussion of the Da Vinci Code and other books that portray a more human, less divine Jesus Christ. You're watching Flashpoint. Back in a moment.